Disturbing details in court today from the medical examiner in the Vanessa Pham murder trial. Defendant Julio Blanco Garcia looked on in court as the medical examiner described with the multiple stab wounds that killed the Fairfax County teenager. Chris Van Cleve has more on what happened today in court. Chris, tough testimony.
Well, Autria, the defendant, spent most of the day again today looking down, and this was a very difficult day for Vanessa Pham's family and friends. Many wiped tears away as they listened to the very violent details of her death on a day that had started with so much promise. She was very excited to find out her boyfriend was coming to visit, and she had just gotten a summer job.
Is this the same person we've been talking about?
Yes.
The mother of a longtime friend of Vanessa Pham chokes up on the stand, recalling seeing Pham a few hours before she was killed.
She was ecstatically happy. She was really excited about the fact that she'd had a good year at school.
That followed a morning of gruesome testimony with medical examiner Dr. Wayne Williams on the stand explaining his autopsy of Vanessa Pham.
Her body and her clothing were very bloody, blood-soaked.
Defendant Julio Blanco Garcia is charged with Pham's murder. His lawyers say he was high on PCP when he attacked her in her car after she made a wrong turn while driving him to the hospital in June of 2010. Dr. Williams' autopsy identified 13 stab wounds to Pham's body, 2 to her chest, ultimately killed the 19-year-old.
This would not be immediately fatal. It would take time for her to bleed. Basically, bleeding out is the mechanism of her death.
Numerous defensive wounds were also found. Signs Pham attempted to fight off Blanco Garcia.
Would you agree with me that these incisive wounds are indicative of the fact that Miss Pham, while defending herself, grabbed the knife?
Yes.
In the afternoon, crime scene detective Derek Hardy showed the jury the knife handle and then the knife blade that ended Vanessa Pham's life, recovered from her car after the murder. In another powerful moment, Detective Hardy shows the jury Pham's bloodied and torn shirt. Now, tomorrow, the defendant is going to tell his side of the story in a manner of speaking. The Commonwealth is going to play his videotape statement to police. We understand it's about 2 hours long. That will happen tomorrow. Court for the day just wrapping up as we speak. We are live in Fairfax tonight. Chris Van Cleve, ABC 7 News.
And Chris will be covering it for us tomorrow as well. Thank you, Chris. For the second day in a row, it now appears a construction worker died when a trench collapsed around him. This morning's case happened on Kinglet Court in McLean. Police say workers were digging a trench when one of them fell 15 feet inside. The man was killed when dirt closed in around him. Just yesterday, another worker died when a trench collapsed in Anne Arundel County.
Well, now to the weather. Things are heating up. Temperatures in the 80s today, and they're only going to keep rising. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hill has the first check of our forecast today. Doug?
Hey, Audrey. Yeah, this is going to be a short-lived little heat wave here. Just a few days of temperatures really closer to average. We've been so cool for a while. 85 outside the Belford Furniture Weather Center right now. This can be a live look at a rooftop camera. A beautiful August afternoon. A few fair weather clouds. No threat of rain anywhere in the region this evening. And temperatures will fall through the 70s into the 60s overnight. 87, the warm spot now at Reagan National. 84 in Frederick and Fredericksburg. 82 degrees in Annapolis. The dew point temperatures measuring moisture in the air starting to creep up, and when they get into the upper 60s, 70 degree range with temperatures in the 80s, you start to feel the humidity a little bit now, even more so tomorrow. We'll cool off a bit through the 70s this evening. Overnight, comfortably warm, 66 to 72, a patch of fog not out of the question by morning, and then tomorrow we'll start looking south, more heat, more humidity, and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm. We'll look to a brighter weekend forecast too coming up in a couple of minutes, Audrey.
All right, Doug, thank you very much. Now to a developing story tonight out of the Atlanta area. We're only on the second day of the school year. A gunman sent scared students running from the school. He reportedly walked into the school office carrying an assault rifle. Our Jay Korf picks up the story there from the Satellite Center with what happened next. Jay?
Autry, law enforcement leaders in Georgia are confirming just moments ago that this shooter was the suspect was inside this elementary school in Decatur, that's a suburb of Atlanta, did fire shots inside the school. Shots were returned by law enforcement officers. Amazingly, no one was hurt, no children were hurt, and the suspect has been apprehended. It's an image as chilling as any. Tuesday afternoon, children raced from Ronald E. McNair Discovery Learning Academy in Decatur, Georgia, escorted by staff, while police searched for a gunman. According to our affiliate in Atlanta, WSB, a school office employee in the suburban Atlanta elementary school called the TV station to report that a shooter wanted to talk with the news outlet and police. Moments later, shots could be heard being fired over the call. Parents understandably rushed to the scene.
I went into tears because my son go there, and the day I didn't let him go to school because we just came back from Detroit. So my head was just everywhere.
Students ran to a field, eventually boarded buses, and were reunited with their parents in a nearby Walmart parking lot. Law enforcement personnel swarmed the area to search for a suspect and calm fears.
This thing came out for the best. I thank God no one was hurt. No one. Not even the suspect. He wasn't hurt.
WSB is reporting that sheriff's deputies and U.S. Marshals tracked down the suspect, a white male reportedly in his 20s, donned in black, who was armed with an AK-47.
The suspect is in custody. He's in custody, and he's en route to our investigative bureau now to be interrogated, okay? I just want to reassure this crowd that everyone is okay. Everyone's okay.
Investigators are trying to determine if the suspect had a connection to the school or not. Authorities believe that this gunman was able to get into the school by following someone in who had been appropriately buzzed in from locked doors. Live in the Satellite Center, Jay Korf, ABC 7 News.
And Jay, thank you for the update. We're waiting for details about a White House cabinet meeting this afternoon to discuss aid to Egypt. Officials are supposed to talk about cutting some of America's $1.5 billion in support. Up to now, the administration has insisted it has not made a decision on halting aid to Egypt. The move is in response to the recent violence in that country. Clashes between security forces and demonstrators left almost 1,000 people dead in the last week. And coming up at 6 o'clock, we take an in-depth look at the crisis in Egypt and how people here in the D.C. area feel about the recent developments.
Well, Candace, it has been 50 years since thousands of people marched on Washington for civil rights, and now D.C. is getting ready to celebrate and remember the historic event. D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford is live from the National Mall with how D.C. police and some surrounding communities are gearing up for the big events. Sam?
Autria, while the 1963 march was a one-day event, the 50-year celebration of that march is a massive week-long series of events, including two big rallies here at the Lincoln Memorial. The workers started putting up tents today for what will be more than a week of ceremonies on and off the National Mall.
Let freedom ring.
Big events at the Lincoln Memorial Saturday.
From Stone Mountain of Georgia.
Then again Wednesday with many visitors and crowds in the city.
So it is an increased police presence out there. You'll see a lot more police officers on the streets.
Are we satisfied?
No. This morning, officials in Prince George's County, like their D.C. counterparts last week, rallied to urge residents to attend Saturday's march.
We're encouraging everybody to come out because it is so important.
We challenge Washington, D.C. We will be present, and we'll see. We're challenging every other jurisdiction as well to be there, but they'll see Prince George's will definitely be present.
When we were there, we said...
At the African American Civil War Museum, civil rights veterans Frank Smith and Larry Rubin remembered the feelings after coming up from the trenches
I have a dream.
to the big march 50 years ago.
I was inspired by this vast number of people to go back south. I might not have done that if it hadn't have been for the feeling that I got.
Larry and I have been working together in Mississippi in those lonely roads where we were chased by the sheriff and sometimes by ourselves. And so to see all it looked like help.
This nation will rise up. My country tears of thee.
So D.C. is getting ready. Sponsors of the Saturday March include Al Sharpton's National Action Network, the D.C. government, the NAACP. It's likely to be the larger of the two marches because it's on the weekend. And then the second march will be the actual anniversary date of August 28th. That's on Wednesday. Sponsored again by a number of groups, including the King Center, the National Park Service, National Council of Negro Women. At that event, former Presidents Carter and Clinton will speak, as well as President Obama. So a busy week ahead to remember what happened here 50 years ago. Reporting live from the Lincoln Memorial, Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
All right, Sam, and just across the street from you, the MLK Memorial is ready ahead of the March on Washington. Crews have finished removing the controversial drum major quote, and most of the remaining fencing is now gone. There are no plans for a ceremonial reopening. Andrea.
Candace, 13 businesses burglarized in one Northern Virginia community tonight. What police say the suspects are getting away with.
Plus, take a look. This Arlington house holds the childhood history of a very famous musician, and now it could be yours.
You're putting in